Good evening, everybody. I trust you've had a fruitful day. I do not say happy, though I hope it has been happy. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and fully self-enlightened one. So I don't know how close we are to the end of this lockdown. In Wales, I think we are still locked down. They've not released any of us yet in any way. At least that's my understanding. So anyway, we can only hope for the best. So I thought this evening we'd have some sort of lighter discourse. Now, when the Buddha left home to take up the life of the samana, of the wanderer, the recluse, obviously his parents were upset because just like the royal family, he was the heir to his father's property and position in the clan, in that tribe, or whatever you want to call it. So he left, of course, once Rahula was born. So that meant that succession was okay. Now, when he became fully liberated, he went back home, you see, and the mother of Rahula, so his wife, said to Rahula, "Go to your father and ask for your inheritance." So he went to his dad and he says, "Dad, give me my inheritance." And his dad said, "Come and join me." And he was ordained, it seems, into the lower order of Samanera by Venerable Sariputta. Now you can imagine his grandparents, the Buddha's father and mother, or father at least, were very upset that now they'd lost the heir to the family, and of course there wouldn't be a further one because Rahula was the end of the line. So such was the disappointment and the sorrow of his father that he actually made a rule which didn't apply to him because there wasn't a rule there when he had asked his son to join him. So anybody joining the order has to ask permission of somebody who's dependent. So you have to ask permission of your parents, and if you're married or in a partnership, you have to have your partner or your spouse's permission to enter the order. And so that's how it is now, you see. That was always true when a monastic broke a rule. It didn't apply. The rule that was made from his mistake did not apply to the person who'd broken the rule, which is fair enough. You can't backdate a rule after all, absolutely. So here we have Rahula, and he's at Ambalathika, which is close to Rajgir. So we've been there before, Rajagaha, present-day Rajgir, just north of the Ganges, and it's the kingdom of Bimbisara, who was a great supporter. And it looks as though, we'll see, the Venerable Rahula, the young, so he's got to be 8 years old, by the way. You've got to be 8 to join the order. Now, they count your time in your mother's womb as an embryo as 1 year. So you're born 1. You don't get away with it. So when we are 1, people in the East are 2. This is what I've been told, yeah. So you can't join the order until you're 8 years old, you see. So that would be our 7. And of course, 7 is the age of reason. And 2 things happen, in case you've forgotten what happened to you when you were 7. First of all, you become aware of consequences to unwholesome actions, okay? So you become aware of karma. Seemingly, you can feel shame even at the age of 3, perhaps even before, I don't know. But guilt doesn't hit you till 7. And of course, that's when Adam ate the apple, you know. And the other thing that happens is your grasp on reality changes. So, for instance, Father Christmas cannot come down the chimney anymore, which is a loss. But there we are. So those two things happen when you're 7, when you're 8, and seemingly from then on you could become liberated at any time. And there is a child, Arahat, in the scriptures. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to look him up. He's just come to mind now, so I'll try and tell you tomorrow. Anyway, he meets with his son, who's living at Ambalathika. And the Blessed One rose from meditation and went to the Venerable Rahula there. And when the Venerable Rahula saw him coming, he made a seat ready and set out water for washing his feet. So the Blessed One sat down. And then the Venerable Rahula paid homage and sat down to one side. And the Blessed One said, left a little water. Then the Blessed One left a little water in the water vessel and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see this little water left in the water vessel? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so little water, Rahula, is the recluseship of those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie. So Rahula has been telling porkies. So you can see the Buddha now has to teach him, that this isn't the way forward. So he says that he loses his recluseship. In other words, he doesn't lose recluseship. It cheapens his ordination as a recluse if he tells lies. Then the Blessed One threw away the little water that was left and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see the little water that was thrown away? I do, Venerable Sir. He says, well, Rahula, those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie have thrown away their ordination, their recluseship. It doesn't mean he's lost his samanaship. It just lessens it, if you know what I mean. Then the Blessed One turned the vessel upside down and said, Rahula, do you see the water vessel turned upside down? I do, Venerable Sir. Those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie have turned their ordination upside down. And then the Blessed One turned the water vessel right way up and asked Rahula, do you see the hollow, empty water vessel now? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so, the hollow and empty, the Rahula is the recluseship of those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie. And then he talks about, he gives, as usual, he always tries to give a metaphor, a little story to illustrate that. So a royal tusker elephant, whose tusks are as long as chariot poles, full grown in stature, high bred and accustomed to battle. And in battle he would perform his task with his forefeet and his hind feet, his hind quarters and forequarters, with his head and his ears, with his tusks and his tail. Yet he would keep back his trunk. Then the rider would think, because of that, he has not yet given up his life. When the royal tusker elephant performs his task with the forefeet and the hind feet, the forequarters and the hindquarters, the head, the ears, in other words, the whole body, and with the trunk, then the rider would think, this royal tusker elephant performs his task in battle and has given up his life. There is nothing the royal tusker elephant would not do in battle. So too, Rahula, when one is not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie, there is no evil, I say, that one would not do. Therefore, Rahula, you should train yourself. I will not utter a falsehood, even as a joke. It's a bit tough, isn't it? Now, what do you think, Rahula? So now he's hopefully got across to his son that telling a lie is not the thing he ought to be doing. So now he advises Rahula on how he ought to progress. What is the purpose of a mirror? The purpose is reflection, Venerable Sir. So too, Rahula, an action with the body should be done after repeated reflection. An action of speech should be done after repeated reflection, and an action of mind should be done after repeated reflection. When you wish to do an action with the body, that is, you should reflect upon that same action. I wish to do what I wish to do. Will it lead to my affliction, to the affliction of others, to both our afflictions? Is it unwholesome? with painful consequences and painful results. Now, when you reflect like this, then you definitely should not do such an action of the body. But when you reflect, this action I wish to do will not lead to my affliction or another, or to both. It is a wholesome bodily action with pleasant consequences and pleasant results, then you may do such an action. Also, Rahula, while you're doing an action, so before you do an action, while you're doing an action, you should reflect in the same way. Now, if your action is seen to be, as you're doing it, is seen to be unwholesome and with painful consequences and painful results, then you should suspend such bodily action. But when you reflect, this action does not lead to any affliction. It is wholesome bodily action with pleasant consequences and pleasant results, then you may continue with the bodily action. After you have done the action, so reflect before, during, is it actually working, and then reflecting afterwards. You should ask yourself, does this action that I have done with the body, does it lead to affliction and so on to others? It is an unwholesome action with painful consequences. Then you should confess this bodily action, reveal it, lay it open to the teacher and to your wise companions in the holy life. And having confessed it, revealed it, and laid it open, you should undertake restraint for the future. Okay, so this, of course, is part of the Patimokkha. The Samaneras don't actually have to go to a meeting where they confess what they've done wrong, but they're obviously told to be open with their teacher about things that they should not have done. So confess the bodily action, reveal it, lay it open to the teacher and to your wise companions in the holy life. And having confessed and laid it open, you should undertake restraint in the future. Now, if the action did not lead to any affliction, but actually had pleasant consequences and pleasant results, you can abide happy and glad, training day and night in wholesome states. Right? So that's the consequence of good actions. Now, he also says the same, of course, of speech and of mental actions. But with mental actions, it's not. I think it's the commentary says, because it's not actually in the scripture here, but there is a note which says that this doesn't have to be confessed in order to be exonerated. So when he's talking to Rahula, he's saying, if you do something which is unworthy, and if you say something unworthy, then you ought to confess it. You ought to come clean, right? And then you should say to yourself, right, I won't be doing that again. But with mental actions, it's not necessary to do that to exonerate yourself. And this is true for the rule of the monks and nuns. When you break a rule, either because of what you've done or what you've said, then you have to confess that. But if you've thought the most terrible things, you don't have to tell anybody about it. Thank heavens. So then the final paragraph, of course, is Rahula, whatever recluses and Brahmins in the past purified their bodily action, their verbal action and their mental action, all did so by repeatedly reflecting on this. Yoniso manasikara. So the Buddha is always asking us to reflect upon our actions. It's not just to Rahula. It's something that comes up constantly within his teachings. Whatever recluses and Brahmins in the future will purify their bodily action, their verbal action and mental action, all will do so by repeatedly reflecting thus. And whatever Brahmins in the present are doing so will do so by repeatedly reflecting thus. Therefore, Rahula, you should train yourself. We will purify our bodily action and verbal action and mental action by repeatedly reflecting upon them. That is what the Blessed One said, and the Venerable Rahula was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So I think that's a much more compassionate way of teaching children rather than giving them a clip around the head, which is what my old man would have done, I think. So I can only hope this has been a pleasant discourse, a light discourse for us. And but the teaching there, of course, is to reflect before we do something, reflect while we're doing something, and reflect after we're doing something. And then surely all of us will be liberated sooner rather than later. So we can begin our practice. Bodang Pujani Dhammang Pujani Sanghang Pujani Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bodang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Bodhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatyampi Bodhang saranang gacchami, Tatyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Panati Pata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumi chachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sura Mereya Majja Pamadatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Last night we lost transmission. That was seemingly because the computer, the laptop, restarted for some reason. So if that happens, all you do is wait a little while, go back onto the YouTube site, and you'll see live. Press on that, and you should see it again. It takes me about 5-10 minutes just to get it going again. So making sure our posture is the expression of the awakened one. Just that energy lifting us up. Sitting tall, and then spending a moment just relaxing the brow and the jaw, the shoulders, and hands on the lap or whatever's comfortable. Just acknowledging that posture, energized and relaxed. This body is subject to disease. This body is of a nature to fall ill. This body has not gone beyond sickness. This body is subject to aging. This body has not gone beyond aging. This body is now in a process of aging. This body is subject to death. This body has not gone beyond death. This body will die. There is the unborn, undying, uncreated, uncompounded. The unconditioned. True refuge, harbour and home. Perfect peace and contentment. Those who are mindful are in the presence of Nirvana. Relaxing the attention on the gentle sensations of the breath, waiting for a certain steadiness of attention, and then open up to whatever draws our attention within that field of awareness. Just observing, just feeling, just experiencing. That's all. A moment's reflection. Resolution. So we can begin our evening contemplations. Make sure you're sitting comfortably. So, speaking gently into our own hearts, may I be free of physical pain. May I be free of mental distress. May I be liberated of all my sufferings. Bringing to mind someone we know is having a hard time, one way or the other. Just picturing them in our mind's eye. May you be free of physical pain. May you be free of mental distress. May you be liberated of all your sufferings. And there are all those at this moment who are sick and or suffering from mental illness. People in the process of dying and those who have died and left grieving family, relatives and friends. People going hungry, homeless and destitute. Those having to deal with severe personal and interpersonal difficulties. All those caught up in wars and repressive regimes. Those being tortured. And there are those suffering from natural disasters and climate crisis. All the sentient beings who are being cruelly treated and unnecessarily slaughtered. And all who find life meaningless. May you be free of physical pain. May you be free of mental distress. May you be liberated of all your sufferings. Radiating our compassion to all beings in all directions. May all beings be free of physical pain. May all beings be free of mental distress. May all beings be liberated of all their sufferings. Let's bring to mind now some moments of joyfulness that we've experienced today. Happiness, peacefulness. And rejoicing in that. May I be joyful. May my joyfulness increase. May I experience the bliss of awakening. Bringing to mind someone we know who has cause to be joyful. May you be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of liberation. And there are all those at this moment who are happy and content with their lives, enjoying the warmth of friendships, delighting in art and nature, hobbies and so on, who find their work meaningful, who enjoy the fruitfulness of their spiritual practice, and who rejoice in the success of others. May you be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of Nibbana. Radiating our goodwill joy to all beings in all directions. May all beings be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of Nibbana. So, as usual, just let these words flow through us. If you want to be wise, if you are wise and want to reach the state of peace, you need to behave like this. You need to be upright, responsible, gentle, and humble, easily contented, need only a few things, not always be busy, and have the right sort of work. You need to guard your senses and to be modest, not to be exclusively attached to only a few people. You should not do the slightest thing that a wise person could blame you for. Always thinking, may all beings be happy, whatever living beings there are, be they weak or strong, big or small, large or slender, living nearby or far away, those who've already been born and those who've yet to be born. May all beings, without exception, be happy. Be truthful to one another, and do not think anyone anywhere is of no value. Do not wish harm to anyone, not even when you're angry. Just as a mother would protect her only child at the risk of her own life, so you should let the warmth of your heart go out to all beings. Let your thoughts go through the whole world, above and below, without any barrier, with no ill will or hatred, whether you are standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. As long as you are awake, develop this affectionate mindfulness. This, they say, is the noblest way to live. And if you do not fall into unskillful ways, but live well and develop insight, and are no longer attached to all the desires of the senses, then truly you'll never need to be reborn into this world again. So please join me in the chanting, or if you wish to offer your blessings in the traditional way. May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented in harmony with the world. Karaniya gata kusalena yantang santang padanga bisamecha sakojucha sujucha suajoja samudu anatimani santu sakoja subharocha apakechocha salaukawuti Santendryo cha nipako cha apagaboko esu ananugido nachakudan samachare kenchi yena winyu pare upawadeyom sukino wa kemino hantu sabe sata bhavantu sukitatam yekechi pana bhutati Tasavata Varawa Anavase Sam Diga Vaye Mahanta Va Majima Rasa Kanu Katula Dita Vaye Va Adita Ye Chadure Va Santi Avidure Bhuta Va Sambhavesi Va Sabe Sata Bhavantu Sukhitatam Na paro parangni kubeta, nati manyata kata chinenkenchi. Biaro sanna patiga sanya, nanya manya sadukangicheya. Mataya taniyang putang, gayusai kaputang anurake. Hewampi sababute su. Mana sambhavaye aparimanam Metencha sambalokasmin Mana sambhavaye aparimanam Udangado tiriyancha Asampadanga veranga sapadam Titancharanesino va Sayano va yavatasa vigatamido Heta satinga diteya, Brahmangetang viharang idamahu. Ditincha anupagama silawa, dasanena sampano, kame suenayagedam, nahi jatuka bhasya punareti. May all beings be happy. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sabe sata sukita hantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. So don't forget, from now till we fall asleep is also part of our practice. I'm sure you've heard this before. Don't forget to put something lovely into the heart and drift away to sweet oblivion. And upon awakening, make the best of the day. Can I wish you all a very peaceful night?